Hello everyone from a new day of the confliction between Russia and Ukraine. As a pioneer, we continue to convey to you every detail about the Russia-Ukraine war. We will be reviewing the latest developments on the front line in a moment. The latest reports indicate that the Ukrainian troops are advancing at many points of the front line. According to local sources and the Ukrainian official sources, the Ukrainian armed forces are continuing their operations in 4 sectors of the front line. The Ukrainian army, which has dealt heavy blows to Russian army in the many regions, has increased its attacks on the new points, especially in the Vuhledar parts of the Zaporizhia front line. So much so that the successes of these attacks could cause great damage to the logistic lines of the Russian army. So, what is the latest situation on the front line? Let's examine the latest developments together on the map. Before moving on to our daily map report, I would like to make a little reminder. As the pioneer, we continue to bring the Russia-Ukraine war to your screens. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so as not to miss our map reports and the reports on the agenda. I also read all the comments you made on our videos. Please help us reach more people who are commenting further. If you're ready, let's start. The Pioneer Reports. I would like to start today's map report with the latest situation on the Zaporizhian front line. First, let's open the Zaporizhia front line on the map. Yep. As you know, the Zaporizhia front line has been on our agenda for a long time. On the Zaporizhia front line, we often evaluate the developments at 2 points. One of these points is the Rabotny region, while the other is the Vuhledar segment. Let's start with the latest situation in Rabotny region first. When I'm talking about the Rabotny region here, I'm referring to 3 towns: Rabotny, Verbov, and Novoprokopivka. As you can see on the map, these 3 points are located at fairly close distance from each other. When we examine the situation here with the help of the timeline, we see that the Russian army has retreated from a fairly large area in the last few days. As you can see, the attacks of the Ukrainian army are working. Contrary to the claims of many pro-Russian sources, the Ukrainian army is achieving significant success against the Russian army in numerous regions during the counteroffensive. When you look at it, you can see that the Ukrainian army has made very critical gains here, in addition to Rabotny, east of Novoprokopivka, and west of Verbov. When we look at the latest reports of local sources, we see that both sides are trying to develop a mutual attack strategy in this region. In this area, Russian troops are conducting maneuvers to surround Ukrainian troops. However, the Ukrainian troops who keep the attack in area wider are seen as more advantageous in this regard. Quite an allegation about Novoprokopivka, which is located in this region, has been raised recently. According to this claim, Ukrainian troops have seized control over a large part of Novoprokopivka. However, some sources have denied this claim. There was also no statements from the Ukrainian authorities on this issue. Therefore, this information needs to be confirmed. However, considering the current situation of the Ukrainian army, it seems possible to say that the accuracy rate of this claim is quite high. In addition, the fact that the Russian sources often call for urgent support to the Russian General Staff about Novoprokopivka significantly increases the accuracy rate of these claims. Artillery units, of course, artillery units of both armies are active in this region. According to the latest reports, Russian artillery units in the region carried out attacks on Orikhiv and Novodaniliyovka districts. On the other hand, Ukrainian artillery units continued to hit Russian troops in Zhurabyanki, Nesteryanka, Kopani, Solotka Balka, Ichenkova and Peshchenyovka, Novoprokhorovka and Novofedoryovka during the day. Now let's continue with the Vuhledar section of the Zaporizhia front line. We see that the Ukrainian troops carried out attacks on a different point from usual one in the Vuhledar part of the Zaporizhia front line. This point is Shevchenko district. Now let's take a look at the village of Shevchenko on the map. As you can see, this village is located quite close to Vuhledar. According to local sources, the confliction between Ukrainian and Russian troops has gained momentum in this region. We also mentioned it at the beginning of our report. We think that the situation in this region should be carefully monitored, because this is the village of Shevchenko, which is located northwest of Yehorivka, an important logistics center of the Russian armed forces. As you can see on the map, the distance between Yehorivka and the village of Shevchenko is only 5 kilometers. The Ukrainian army's establishment of dominance here means that Yehorivka, the logistics center of the Russian army, faces a major threat. As you know, the Russian army is experiencing major supply problems. One of the most important reasons of these supply problems is that the Ukrainian army has damaged Russian logistics lines and logistics centers at many points. Therefore, we can say that the scenario in which the Ukrainian army captured the village of Shevchenko will change some balances in the Russian army. It is also reported that the Ukrainian artillery units in the region have carried out quite successful operations in recent days. I think the region should be monitored quite carefully. However, it is possible to say that the Russian forces are advantageous in the region at the moment. The dominant hills in the region are in the hands of the Russian army. If the Russian army loses these dominant hills, the advantage will fall into the hands of the Ukrainian army. On the other hand, we see that there are operations of artillery units of the two armies in the Vuhledar part of the Zaporizhian front line. According to the latest reports, Russian artillery units located in the region hit Ukrainian position in Stromoyorsk and Yorkhain. However, Ukrainian artillery units continued to hit Russian positions in Priyotny, Vuhledar, Zaporizhia, Estermelinka, Kermenchik, Novodonetskov, and Pavlovka, Yarokhovka, and Nikolaevsky during the day. Now let's continue with the Donetsk front line. As you know, there are two regions on the Donetsk front line that the Russian army is persistently attacking. One of them is Marinka and the other one is Novomihailovka. Russian troops have recently launched a renewed offensive on these two regions, but the Ukrainian defense forces in the region managed to stop the Russian offensive, accompanied by artillery strikes. On the other hand, Ukrainian artillery units in the region continued their attacks on Russian positions. According to the latest reports, Ukrainian artillery units hit Russian positions located in the Donetsk city center, Vodyanoe and Horiivka on the Donetsk front line. We will not touch on Bakhmut front line in today's map report, because the Bakhmut front line had a quiet day compared to the previous days. However, it is stated by experts that the silence in the region can be a harbinger of a storm. Therefore, we will continue to monitor the area. And what do you think? Do you think the Ukrainian army will be able to capture the logistics center of the Russian army on the Zaporizhian front line? How will the realization of this scenario affect the Russian army? What are your ideas about what happened in the last days of the war? Mention it in the comments. I'm reading and caring about all your comments.